Good morning, everyone. How is everyone? It is Sunday, and I'm just going to wait for some folks to get in here. And, gosh, I'm so happy about today. It's Sunday, and it's a beautiful day in Austin here. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of excited about what's going to happen today. Just in case, if this is your first time coming in, I just want to share, I am going through the Thoth Crowley tarot deck. And if you're not familiar with tarot cards, just wanted to let you know, this is not divination, or excuse me, this is not fortune telling per se. This is really tapping into the intuition. These cards are very much like a book, right? A book of wisdom. And like many books, there are chapters, there are settings, themes, characters, etc. And knowing and studying each single one of them is a way to kind of understand some overall metaphors or patterns in our lives. Today, and what I'm doing for the next, actually for the 90 days is I'm trying to get to know this card deck a little bit more. So I am going to show up here every day at 9 a.m. Central Time, Austin, and do a card reading. And for the last few days, I decided, hey, like I want to go through the entire deck. So what I'm going to do is I started with the card 0, which is the Fool. Then we talked about yesterday in addition to the Fool card, then thereafter is the Magus, which is the Magician. So that's card number 1. And today we're going to be talking about card number 2, which is the Priestess. Yes, card number 2 follows. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, the whole thing, the tarot deck is essentially a story. And if you think about a story, it has an arc. And one of the arcs that we go through is this, in any story actually, is in the theme of transformation, right? What's going through. So card number 2 is about the Priestess. And for those of you who are in here, if you want to type where are you from or your name, I'd love to know. And also I'll be, after I explain the Priestess, I'll go ahead and pull a card for, let's see, I'll be pulling cards if you have a question. So type in your question that you have. And I can answer that right after that. So I'm excited about that because the Priestess is a pretty powerful one. And we just went through a new moon, and actually, like, we're probably about day 5 post new moon. And we do know that there's a lot of intensity that's going on around right now. So we can dive into the Priestess in just a moment. While we'll wait for a few more folks to come on. And I'm just going to have you go ahead and take a look at this and just observe it for a little bit. When you see some of the colors, some of the things that come to your mind first, what you see. And oftentimes our gut instinct is actually pretty good. So I'm going to hold it up. Maybe think about some colors. What symbols do you see? You know, what figures, what does this call to mind for you? So, I'm going to share some of the things that, some of the primary things is that I go through in my process of looking at these cards. Is oftentimes what I'll do is I will look at the colors and I will look at the symbols that stand out most to me. And what I see here, the color is of blue. And what we know about blue, if in terms of just color symbolism, is blue is often related to water. And water is often related to what is in our unconscious or our subconscious, right? What's hidden inside. So we can relate to the unconscious as in terms of our dreams, our sense of intuition, and it can also represent also the heavens in terms of air. But what we see here is we also see that there are a lot of symbols down below. We see there's a camel, these beautiful diamonds, a prism. And another interesting thing is like this spiraling action that's going on, almost as though there's like a rainbow action. And right in the center is this figure, right? The priestess, she's standing and she's spreading out like this, and almost to bring this wave of spiraling that comes in. So if we think about spirals or we think about those things, it's there's a symbol of that comes to mind for me, which is of the spider, the weaving of the spider web. And the spider is known for there's in native mythology or native storytelling. It's the spider who basically wove the world together. So it's the weaving into existence, that of meaning, also the importance of words. And we see that she's standing very firmly into the ground, right? Or very firmly, but then she's also uplifting. So there's this spiraling upward motion of manifesting, and that which we see that's hidden within our unconscious and tapping into that and allowing that to come up and surface. So I think that's a really, really, really interesting thing, right? Hi, Tatiana. Great to see you. We're just covering the Priestess today, which is the second card in the deck. And the Priestess, what this is also what we can think about when we're thinking about the Priestess or is this idea of going inwards into our unconsciousness, right? And actually going inside in order to give us the guidance. And really to tap into intuition, tapping into our inner knowing. And one thing that is something of caution that we can think about is sometimes when we're going into inwards is that we might get stuck in our inward, like sometimes we get stuck inside of there versus doing and taking action. So, as everything in life, there's the yin and the yang, right? There's the darkness and the lightness, and there's the feminine, there's the masculine, right? So as we look at this, we see that this is of, really the light that we see here is the fact that we can tap into our inner resources. But, the other side of that is, if we're on the other extreme, is this fleeing from reality, not being grounded into where we are today. So take that into consideration. I also wanted to show that she's almost there's almost this thing where it's almost as though she's uplifting like the veil. And we could think of that as like the veil that either covers us from really knowing the truth, or the veil of that of perhaps hiding behind something and being able for us to really open our eyes and to see, kind of like lifting the veil from that which is hidden from us. We also see that some of the other symbols that are in here are, we see the camel, which is about journeys. We see the moon, which is also the moon, which is very much into the feminine and the attachment to, and the symbolism of water, again, going back to the unconscious and the feminine, right? Really tapping into that feminine side. And then we also see a little bit of the Sphinx, which is titled to, or which is linked to very much about the I would say kind of the riddles, or the riddles of what we're trying to uncover. So these secrets and unlocking that, and the puzzles, right? So the Priestess, if you ever get this, if you ever get the Priestess and you see this in the card, is really thinking about the ways in which we tap into our feminine, the ways that we really unveil ourselves from whatever we are holding back, and to be aware of the ways in which maybe we're holding ourselves back and not actually acting, but staying in our fantasy world. So that's something to think about. So that was the Priestess today. And so the Priestess, yeah, that's card number 2 in the Thoth Crowley deck. And what I'm going to do now that we've covered that, our card of the day is, now I'm going to pull a card of the day for some kind of wisdom that we might want to know for, hey, every world, right? So I'm going to pull this up. Woo! That's interesting. That one just came out. This is very interesting. This fell out, and sometimes when cards fall out, I like to just when the cards fall out, I just want to make sure that I pay attention to that. This is the Chariot. Wow, the Chariot. As you can see, this is a lot of forward motion. We have right here in the center is this wheel, and we can think about wheels as to kind of like thinking about the circle of life, etc. And then there's this forward motion going, and there's this strength. And this Chariot is kind of like what drives us to go forward. So if I had a message, if you are doing anything today is a really good day to just move forward. Work on what you need to be working on. If you were stuck on something, today is a great day to just get those wheels going forward. This can also be, on the flip side, as we were talking about the yin and the yang and cards, and then the light and the dark. A reminder for us in the dark part is that to think, is there any part that I have been in overdrive, or I've been, trying to do, like all those lists. And if there is, how can we slow down and actually still stay focused, still be on the path, but not needing to be so results driven, but really sticking to the path. Remembering that the journey is really, really important. So yeah, that's the card of the day. How does that sound for everybody out there? Like, what did that make you think? I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to know. As I'm thinking about the Chariot, and I'm gonna actually pull up some, maybe if there anything else that I could learn about this. But what that's making me think about is, I've kind of been in this go, go, go mode. And I've been also pacing myself with having fun and having joy in doing it. And another thing that I'm reading about this is that if you have a goal in mind, that you can achieve it, and you will achieve it. But it does require this heart of an adventurer to have that, right? And then on the flip side is, again, really knowing that in that victory, that you're not getting stuck to too much of the ego, too much of that. So really leading with your ability to know that you can be a leader, and having that be your driving force. However, not getting stuck in overly thinking of your egos. Yeah. All right. So, does anyone want me to pull a card for them? Tatiana, the images on the cards. Yes. They aren't my cards. They're actually the Thoth Crowley deck. And I'm going to type that in here. And the Thoth tarot deck is really awesome because it is essentially, the imagery is just so beautiful. You can find these, I bought these actually here in Austin. That's where they're published. But the imagery is just so beautiful, right? Like, I just love the imagery and the coloring. Like, we could just keep going through these. They're so powerful. If you don't mind, I'm going to pull a card for me, just wondering what what I need to know today. And that's a really good question to ask. What is it that I need to know today? I have a lot of projects that I'm working on right now, and I want to make sure that I'm focused, that I'm using my energy right, and spending the time that I want to be spending time on, like focusing that. So I'm going to pull a card. What is it that I need to know right now? Oh, very interesting, Tatiana. That's kind of funny. You're what? So if am I worried about why I don't have enough viewers? You know what? Actually, I'm not really worried about the viewership on YouTube. Yes, it's fun. This is no. Don't no. You're not interrupting. This is a conversation. I've actually been more. For me, this has been just more for fun. Like I just want to, I do this for myself in the mornings, like where I pull a card, but I also want to learn more. And so it's fun to learn with other people. And, if people show up, great. And if people don't, also great. I'm having fun learning, and I'm glad that you're here to get to, be part of this path. So, but that is interesting to know. I didn't know that, there were some things about the tarot. It's an interesting thing because, some people get really freaked out about tarot. And I can understand why, because I was at one point, there was part of me and was like, I don't want to really know my future. I'd rather not. And I wasn't until I realized, like, actually what the deck is that it's very much like a story, like, and they're not curses, they're not spells. They don't tell you what's going to happen in the future specifically, but they're really more as guidance of knowledge or information, kind of like when reading a book and you want some inspiration, you want some clarity, and getting the answers. It's very in tune with source, but it's not going to change the fate or destiny. It does provide a lot of clarity, though. So that's, yeah, exactly, Tatiana. And we just, exactly, people are afraid of the unknown, but that's kind of why I'm here, to just share, to show, like, that this isn't something to be afraid of. It's just actually looking at, oh, what does this picture mean and what can I learn? The other cool thing about why I got into this is that I'm a photographer, and also I love to design, and when I like to just understand this also from an artist perspective, because they're so pretty. Like, what is the symbolism, and kind of what are the ways in which we tell stories through images, right? So that was another reason why I wanted to get into this. But this is the card that I pulled, you guys. I pulled the Hermit today for me, which is really interesting. It's card 9 in the story arc. And very interesting is what we're seeing is, like, kind of like down here is like, yes, the Hermit is hidden, but also the Hermit is carrying light, right? The Hermit does carry the light even when he is behind. And you see right here, it's the three-headed wolf, and I think this is the beast, or this is the monster that holds right before going into Hades, into the world of darkness, and that's in the Greek mythology. And yeah, so, and then there's also this snake right here, and it looks wrapped in an egg. Tiana, I would love for you to take a look at my work. I have on Instagram at Triangle Flash, and let's see, you can also visit my company's work, is triangleflash.com. So yeah, and I do it's a lot of fun for me. I love photographing, and I love making work. But the Hermit, I want to learn a little bit more about maybe something about this. I am kind of a hermit. This time during coronavirus has actually been a little bit, it's a bit of a stress reliever for me. I know that sounds a little weird but it's a little stress reliever for me, because I frankly, I'm as an introvert, I'm always like worried that, oh my gosh, I'm if I stay at home, or if I'm doing things at home, like, I'm not, what am I missing out? I get a lot of FOMO, but being here, and this gives me just the time to focus on the work that I need to focus on, and not have to worry about, like, oh, I'm not at this event, or I'm not, at this dinner with other people, and not I'm not guilty, right? I don't feel guilty about that, right? That I'm just here. So yeah. So it's interesting. The instinct of the hermit is to live in seclusion, escaping burdens. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Retreating to the ego and isolating oneself. That's interesting. That's the instinct, but the purpose is the truth, knowledge, seeking the self, disillusionment, and self-discipline lead to clear awareness. Very interesting. It's also about going into wisdom and having the enlightenment and emotional maturity. The shadow is the flip side of this is that there's sometimes this can be there can be narcissistic tendencies and a little bit of alienation and bitterness and withdrawing. The qualities of this is deep within and embrace life seriously. So, interesting. I like this. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. So yeah, my zodiac sign is I am a Scorpio. And so, Pisces. So fish, water. Yeah, we're both water signs. So Tatiana, do you want me to read? Do you want me to pull a card for you? Because I can. I can pull a card for you, girlfriend. I can pull a card for anybody. Who else is in here? I know Tatiana's not the only one in here. I can see the numbers, guys. If you want me to pull a card, I can pull a card for you. I'm happy to do that. Let me know. Let me know. Okay, Tatiana, I'm pulling a card for you. Yeah, please ask. Ask a question. What question? I'm going to think about Tatiana. Okay. What does Tatiana need to know? I'm actually going to shuffle. Tatiana, what does Tatiana need to know? Tatiana. Ooh, Tatiana. Woo, okay. And let's see, what else? I'm going to pull one more card. Okay, I'm going to pull one more card to understand because you got this card, so I'm going to pull one more. Oof. Wow. So this was the first card that I pulled for you, Tatiana, which is the Knight of Wands. This is passion. This is a lot of direction. See, do you see how the horse is lifted up into the air and there's fire? This is a motion of going and going. And do you see what right after that, I wanted to understand? This is the Nine of Wands. This is all about strength. And when we think about this, the Nine of Wands is almost like you're almost at completion. So, and then there's this huge light. With these two in conjunction with one another, the Knight of Wands is really moving forward with a lot of passion. It's a lot of momentum. And there's the fire. It's just a knowingness and a lot of courage, okay? And it's so interesting because I think I've pulled the Knight of Wands for you before. I think so. So wherever you're going, it's a big yes. Like, this is a yes. The one thing to caution is that, so, you know, there's just so much potential, inner potential, and a lot of personal, just owning your personal intuition and knowing where you stand. But it's the potential with the light with this is that, you know, you have a lot of willpower. You have a lot of intellectual capabilities. However, the shadow part of this is perhaps you not being open to others or being presumptuous and maybe even too authoritarian. But this is all about you really owning your willpower inside. And then when we think about the Nine of Wands, right? So I'm gonna just look this up because this is a new one to me. But what I'm seeing is that we have the we have right down here, it's the masculine, right? It's grounded, right? Super grounded in judgment and knowing and logic. And then we see right up here is the sun. So this is a very masculine card. The masculine card is of, 1 second, the Nine of Wands. Let me see. Nine of Wands, Nine of Wands. Very masculine and very strong. But we also see the moons, right? The moons, the crescent moons, which are very much of the feminine. So it's this balance of the masculine, the go, 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 being supported a lot by the feminine. Let me just find one more reading for you, Tatiana. So if I were to put all this together, I'm really thinking, whatever you have, it's a huge yes. You need to tap into it and making the action and the decision to do. Nine of Wands. Why can't I see this? Nine of Wands, Thoth. Give me 1 second, Tatiana. I'm trying to find this card interpretation for you. Interesting. This Nine of Wands. Okay. Wow. So it's basically the marriage of which it's your spiritual truth, and that this is the light is about harmony between heaven and earth, which is what we were talking about, right? We have the balance of the down here and the moons and the sun, right? So it's the balance between the two. One thing that you might want to consider as you're moving through all of these, phases and these decisions is just to make sure that you are really making these decisions from your personal willpower, from your inside, not from anyone else's. So, Tatiana, what does that think? That's very interesting. You talk about, thank you for, but okay. Your work, the work is military. I think I will definitely fade away there because I can almost feel it. Thank you for your efforts and concern. Yeah, so no matter, if I understand your question right, how bad will the work, spiritually and creative, that I am offered almost forcibly affect? How will it affect you? I think it will affect you that you'll need to practice your willpower. You'll need to know where you stand in all of the decisions that you're making and to be comfortable with them. And the one word that's popping up for me right now is integrity. Like really having integrity inside. I think the integrity, knowing that's going to ground you and root you. And I think that's going to require you to have a lot of that inner strength. So, Tatiana, you know who you are. And you know who you are. We all know who we are. Sometimes it just takes a little bit for us to kind of dust out everything. Sometimes it's hard for us to remember, but you do know who you are. And the challenges that you're going to have or that you're facing right now, stick to your inner knowing. Stick to that inner knowing. Yeah, integrity. Ooh, I hope that helps, Tatiana. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot in that. I'm gonna see if there's anything else about the Nine of Wands that's good to know. Yeah, it's this is a beautiful card, the Nine of Wands. It's really about embodiment of your inner creative powers. You both, it's the balance between the sun and the moon, which really are about the feminine and the feminine and the female energies. So really tapping into both your inner fire and also your water element, which is your Pisces. So these are great cards. Great cards. Oh, I'm really glad to hear that, Tatiana. And I'm here. I'm going to be here every day. You know where to find me, and I will be back tomorrow. It's time for me now to get my work done. So yeah. I will see everybody tomorrow, or and we'll keep doing this. But thanks, guys, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Remember, the card that I pulled today today was for everybody, the Chariot. So move on forward and get what you need to do done, because you can, you have strength, and you have power. Bye, guys.